Hey everyone, this is Jordan. Welcome back to another Flesh and Bones video. Today I am here with Salam, who is from Dat Geeky Guy on YouTube, and he does a lot of TCG content and other content, and I wanted to have him on here because I really enjoy his videos, and I've been watching a lot of his videos lately, and going back through some of the older stuff too. Even though I'm not into Pokemon and some of the other stuff, it's still cool to check out some of the other TCGs that are out there. So, Salam, welcome. You can tell us about yourself if you'd like.
Thanks, Jordan, for having me today. And I'm that Geeky Guy, Salam. So, first and foremost, of course, I would like to thank Jordan for having me on his channel. I've been producing content for a lot of TCGs for about a few months. But moving forward, I guess I'm going to be focusing more on the Flesh and Blood TCG. Anyways, it's addicting, and it's what I've been spending most of my time anyway. So I guess I'll just be producing more Flesh and Blood content moving forward. So I started with TCG around 2006, but with Pokemon though. So Pokemon was my main go-to TCG, and then it's the only TCG I know. Other TCG didn't really interest me. So from 2006, and then I stopped, got into other hobbies, then came back to Pokemon at 2014. And then after Pokemon, I was looking for something else, something more. Pokemon was good, but it's a bit too. It was designed to be appealing to everyone, everyone of different ages. So it has to appeal to kids and also adults. So I can't help but to feel that it's a bit simplified.
Yeah, I see that with Pokemon. I remember my brother when he started playing it. I'm 37. My brother is he just turned 29, and he was really big into Pokemon and Digimon, and I've always been into Magic. I played Magic since I would say like beta, somewhere around beta when beta first came out, closer to Unlimited probably, but yeah, my little brother was really into Pokemon and all that, and I was so in the Magic world that like he would show me how to play and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, this is like way too easy. It wasn't really a challenge, but playing against a kid, we had fun. He's my little brother, so I played with him. But I was like, oh my god, this is really not a challenge. So it's more nostalgia based, I think, for a lot of people, which is what Magic has become too. So yeah.
Yep. So the thing that held Pokemon up is, the franchise around it with so many years of nostalgia, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And then another thing about Pokemon, like you also said that it's a bit too easy, I guess. I just wanted more. And then also in Pokemon, I think you might notice that whenever you play with someone, when it's opponent's turn, you don't really do anything. You just sit there and take all the damage.
Sure.
It's different. Yeah, it's different from Magic, where you have this different instance that you can play during, to block counter spells and things like that.
Which is the part of Flesh and Blood that appeals to people too, is being able to do something back and not just sit there and go, oh, you're killing me and I can't do anything. Yeah.
The different phases between you and your opponent, you're defending and then he's attacking, and then you play all these different cards for defending and things like that. So I went into Magic for a bit, and then I found it to be, a bit too much.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming.
True. And then I came in during the Zendika Rising set, and then it has all these different set boosters, and then collector boosters. All that. That's a bit. Yeah, it is a bit too much product for me. And then why they are different booster packs, and then you're basically paying more to get better pull rates and things like that. So I didn't really enjoy that.
So you came in at Zendikar Rising with Magic?
Yeah, true. Wow. Yeah, I'm like super new.
Dude, so that's really I'm really glad that, not only are we talking for the reasons we're talking, but that's another point to bring up, not to sidetrack you here, but that I'm glad you said that was confusing, that I think you said that was kind of strange or confusing, that there's set boosters, collector's boosters, draft boosters. I mean, Magic for 25 years, all it's ever been is one product. I mean, as long as I've played, up until the last, 5 years, it's been one product. You get it at release. That's why the cards held their value. You were having, for the most part, really good print quality. I mean, now the print quality has went down the toilet, and you're joining at a time where it's super confusing.
True.
Yeah, that's strange. I guess I didn't realize, I never thought of the people who were just joining now like that, and how confused they would be. It's hard to view it from that perspective when you're someone who's played the game since the beginning. So
yeah. So the thing about Pokemon and Flesh and Blood, they only have one type of booster. So the pull rate is like it's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same price. So everyone has an equal chance of getting so it's more exciting, I think, compared to Magic. So I came into Magic like about a month, and then I tried playing with my brothers just to experience the game, and then it's fun, of course. I mean, it's been there for many years, but then I feel like I'm not going to enjoy this because I'm looking for a TCG that I can play competitively.
Yeah.
And Magic, it seems a little bit too hard for me. So I found out Flesh and Blood through the YouTube channel Alpha Investment.
Gotcha. Rudy. Oh yeah, Rudy. Yep.
Yeah, he's like the face of.
He's become the face of TCGs for sure. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I kind of because I keep getting recommendation of watching his Flesh and Blood videos, because I watch his videos for Magic stuff, and then I enjoy his investment talks and things like that. And then I saw his Flesh and Blood video, and then I found the artwork to be quite similar to Magic.
Yeah.
But the cards itself and then the gameplay mechanics it's really unique.
For sure, and that's the thing. Like, I still have. I've said this a million times, but I still have. About 4 commander decks, and that's really it. I got rid of everything else Magic and invested it into Flesh and Blood. And the big draw to me was I was a big commander player, then COVID hit, and I couldn't play with anyone. And my wife understands how to play Magic, and we play once in a while, but it was too long of a game with kids to play. Like, we didn't have time to sit down and play a game of Commander, and then we'd have to stop and take care of our kids. So we couldn't really do that. What excited me about Flesh and Blood was I heard about the Blitz format. You could play 15, 20-minute games, max half-hour time limit, and we could get through the game, and whoever had the least amount of life when we had to quit, that's who won. So if our kids had to, we were potty training my daughter at the start of the pandemic, so if she had to use the bathroom, then we're like, oh, okay, how many life do you have? How many life do I have? Well, there we go, So a game like that, like, I started playing in December, so it was about, halfway through this pandemic, but that was a game we could play together and not have to worry about the time that we're sinking into something. So I still kept a few commander decks, but with Flesh and Blood, same thing. I saw Rudy, was the first one to talk about the game, and I like the artwork. But what got me hooked on it was that he said it's very much reminded him of like a classic 90s RPG like Diablo, where you equip different pieces of armor. And I'm a huge From Software fan. I love like all the Dark Souls games and Bloodborne. And I had Demon Souls the day it released on PlayStation 3 before anyone even knew what the heck it was. So like I've been playing the games from the beginning, and it very much felt like a Dark Souls type of world. And that right there like really, really drew me into it. And Magic seemed to they've kind of went just off the wall. And I'm not a person like I could care what race you are, what sex you are, any of that. None of that is the kind of stuff that I ever focus on in a game. And I think it's cool Magic's doing a lot of that stuff, which is equal for everyone. My only problem with that is they've focused on that stuff a little too much recently and forgot about their player base. And you can have both. You can still have an active player base, but they do things that seem like it's almost they're selling out for that particular reason instead of just let these characters develop naturally. Like if you have a character in my mind that is, gay or bisexual or anything like that, whatever you want to do, that's cool, but let that story develop naturally. Don't come out with a press release saying, our new character is gay. It's like, well, I know lots of people that are gay. Why does that matter? Like, that doesn't have anything to do with that character, like, True. And to me, that kind of stuff seems to turn people off to Magic now because of the fact that they feel as if like you're not letting things progress naturally. You're just saying, this is what we're doing now, and everyone needs to agree. And there are many people who don't agree with that, including members of that community. So, that part turned me off to Magic mainly because I felt like they were going away from where they started. It's a fantasy-based game where you can be what you want. So anyone can be who they want anyways. and let's make that just something that exists in the game without having to try to sell a million products. It feels like they do it for the money more than they do it for they care about the people, and that part really bothers me. So Wizards and Hasbro's kind of greed has ruined that game for me. With Flesh and Blood, I saw James White and the way Legend Story Studios handles everything. It's very much like, hey, this game is open for everyone. We want you to play it in the flesh and blood. We care about the community. We're not going to make these overly, what's the word I'm looking for? These big statements that just try to draw people in because of whatever the current culture is now. And I felt like that's kind of what Magic was starting to do. So anyways, I went on about that long enough. But you get my drift of why Magic has kind of turned some people off.
True. So like what you mentioned regarding the RPG elements where you get these different equipment. So I found it interesting is that the legendary equipment itself in a booster pack or the box itself, the drop rate is quite similar, like when you're playing let's say a Diablo game, and then you kill any kind of monsters, and then you are hoping that, come on, you drop me some good stuff, Yeah. It's the same like you're opening a pack and then common,
I completely agree. Yeah, you're getting that gray item that you would just dump, or you're getting that blue item that's like okay, but you pull that legendary or fabled item, you're like, oh my god, I got it. Yeah. For sure.
Also, the thing, it's just too addicting to open packs in Flesh and Blood TCG compared to, I guess, Magic and Pokemon. Pokemon I played for so many years, but the amount of money that I spend in Flesh and Blood, I guess, is more than I spend in Pokemon.
Sure.
The same amount of time. The addicting property of the Flesh and Blood is quite strong.
Yeah, and I think so too. People have already said, like, I was talking to a lot of people who said, how much money did you used to spend in Magic? And, a lot of people were like, oh, I buy a pack here and there, or I buy a few booster boxes. But, once I got the cards I needed, I just stop. But with Flesh and Blood, it's always on the hunt for that, legendary or that Rainbow Foil Majestic or that Fabled. So you're like, I'll buy a box. I'll buy 2 boxes. I've never bought a case of Magic in my entire 25 years of playing. And with Flesh and Blood, I bought like 8 cases of cards since I've been playing this. So it's like insanely addictive. Yeah. Well, like I was talking to some other people that I will not name here because I don't want to give their information out. But a few content creators have told me, they said, like when Crew came out, for instance, they're like, I bought 80 cases of Crew. And I'm like, not 80 cases, I'm sorry, 8 cases of Crew. And I'm like, how much money did even 8 cases of Crew cost you then? And now if you would have held on to it, you could have bought 80 cases of Crew probably with whatever exists because of how much money everything is. But there's a few people that have told me, like, I bought these massive amounts of cases, and I'm like, how did you buy all this, but why with a game that's so new? And a lot of the people had told me, they knew from the start it was just going to be successful. I mean, they could see the writing on the wall, and a lot of people got into it early. And I know Rudy was, people were saying he was really pumping it and stuff, but I don't think he really was. He would do a Flesh and Blood video here and there, but I think a lot of people would like thumbs down it and say, yeah, we want to see more Magic stuff. And now, I don't know if you noticed, but have you seen when the Flesh and Blood videos pop up? There's really none of that negativity now. Like, people have seen how great the game is, and it's like people are all in now, and I like to see that for sure. Yeah, everyone was very happy every time he does a box opening for Flesh and Blood, or generally just talking about Flesh and Blood stuff. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, let's go. And then another thing I think that Flesh and Blood did right was compared to Magic, where they made these different products like set boosters, collector boosters, just because they want to appeal to collectors and also players. Yeah, but I guess that kind of segregates different groups. But compared to Flesh and Blood, I think they are quite, Legend Story Studio, they are quite smart of having the first edition and then the limited one. I guess that's a better way to go about. What do you think about that? Well, and my thoughts on that too, I did a video on that a little while ago saying, like, my thoughts on the future of Flesh and Blood, or I forget what his title, I worry about the future of Flesh and Blood. And that video wasn't meant to be negative. What it was meant to be was basically there's different options for the way first edition and unlimited release could be handled. And during this time of pandemic, And with Monarch already being delayed, I don't think they had much of a choice this time. But I think in the future with Kingdoms that there is an opportunity for them to change the way things are done. I think a lot of people would disagree with me, but I think having a higher price point for the first edition product is going to be ultimately the smartest way to do things. You know, you make that $149.99 and you make unlimited $79.99. $70 difference between the products, but with cold foils being the way they are and first edition product being the way it is, you would be able to do that. And what they could do in my mind is like print first edition for like the first, I don't know, let's say the first month or two, there's only first edition. So not only would LSS make a good amount of money off of that first edition, but then after the 2 months is out, you know, the product's gone. So they print it to oblivion for 2 months. Then after that, it's gone, and they only print unlimited. So if you want to play the game, it's almost like an early adopter. You're doing, an early adopter fee for the first 2 months of $70 a booster box. But if you, after that 2 months is out, you just want to play with normal cards, then you can spend $79.99 and get the normal cards. That's the way it makes sense to me. But, you know, if anyone else, you know, comment below and let us know what you think. But that's the way I think it should be handled. What about you? What are your thoughts on how that should be handled?
Well, to come to think of it, I think that's true because it's a way to actually support Legendary Studios. You know, the extra $70 really helps them, and also the value that you get out of the booster box, I think basically covers for that $70. Even more than that, I think.
Yes.
Also, if you are a player, you shouldn't be concerned because there's already the unlimited edition coming soon that should be able to cover all your play sets, and then the cards you need should be enough from that. And then the first edition should really concern the collectors and investors, if you want to put them in the group itself. Sure,
and I also think that like a lot of people, the only downside to that is a lot of people would argue with our thoughts right now, and to be devil's advocate, what they would say is, but that if I can only afford the $80 product, I gotta wait 2 months, and I get that part's unfair if you can only afford the $80 product. But then again, depending on when competitions take place, and once we're out of this pandemic, how our competition's going to work. So when we can play in person again, what is that going to mean? Does it mean that they're going to wait? You know, let's say they release the product and then they say you have 2 months, and once unlimited releases, you can start building decks for tournaments. You know, so maybe they wait. Maybe they start their main tournaments 3 months after release, which gives everyone the time to see the cards, figure out how they want to build a deck, and then unlimited release is released that 3rd month, and then people can buy the cards that they need that are more affordable for the player base. But you still had 2 months to study the cards and collect the cards if you wanted to for first edition. But
True.
I think there's something like that would work, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's true because what they can do is basically they just have to make the sets legal like 2 months after the first edition releases. So once the unlimited edition releases, okay, now it's legal. You can use it in tournaments. I guess. Yeah, I agree with what you mentioned basically. So just extend it to 2 months, or basically when the unlimited edition releases, then the players will be able to use the cards, and they have an extra of 2 months to study the cards. And I think that's a good idea.
Well, and it'll be interesting to see what they do, because they have already come out and said at one point that, you know, the release of everything up to and including Monarch has been kind of a mess because they've been figuring things out. Not like Legendary Studios has messed anything up. It's been a mess with distribution. It's been a mess with how fast the card game became popular. They didn't have shrink wrap that had Legendary Studios' name on it, and Rudy asked them to change that. They didn't even have an unlimited product. The player base came out and said, we need an unlimited product. You should do 2 different versions. And they did it. They whipped it up in like months. So that being said, I think going forward and including, or looking back, including Monarch, things are going to be different than what we see in Kingdoms. I think Kingdoms will be the first release that will have everything correct the way they want it to be done. So it'll be interesting to see if we're right or if we're completely wrong. Maybe they're going to release the 2 products side by side, which even if they did them side by side, but they told you this is only going to first print run's only going to be going on for like 3 months. the price still might be inflated, but I don't think you would see reserve prices you see now of Monarch of, $300-$400 a box. I don't think you would see that personally. I think if everyone knew that they were still going to make a pretty good amount of profit and be able to push that back to Legend Story Studios, that we would be good. So.
Yep. Another thing is what do you think about the first card that is banned in Flesh and Blood, which is the drone?
So drone's a funny thing because I think that the card itself, the reasons that they banned it, the reason that they banned it, and the reason that they wanted to make sure they took care of it in a way that wouldn't offend the players. They're going to take it out of the boxes in the future. I think the way that they decided to handle all that makes a lot of sense, but my only problem with it is people might look at it and say, which I'm one of those people that says you shouldn't really ever ban physical cards, but they're doing it the right way by saying future printings are not going to have that physical card. And I like that part of it. Because if it's of no use to you and you open a pack and get it, and then someone says, oh no, you can't play that card, you're going to be like, well, why? I'm just new to the game. What, there's already cards banned that I don't even know about? Which is what the problem with Magic has been. There's been so many physical cards banned that unless you're playing Arena, you don't know that they've been banned. And so I appreciate they did it the way they did it, and I think it's smart. And it did break a fundamental rule of the game as they created it, and I think you're going to have those problems, but I think they handled it right. The speculation around the price of the card I think is nonsense. There's been so many of them printed that it might hold some value, but it's a card that is really only going to be useful in the future in any new formats or any formats it isn't banned in, like Ultimate Pit Fight or whatever. It's not banned there yet, so we'll see what happens. Maybe it'll be useful when PvE comes out or something. I don't know. And then it could spike. Yeah, it could spike on that way, but who knows? Have you heard of? Did you hear anything about the PvE stuff? Have you watched any videos?
No, actually, I don't know much about the PvE stuff. So far, I've been just focusing on the PvP stuff. So I don't know anything about it. So,
yeah, so
do you have any information on it?
Well, so they announced a while back, they did like a play test at a convention. I think it was like at some sort of convention. Might have been a Flesh and Blood convention. I don't know. But they introduced it as the original test was you play against another creature or whatever, but it was more like in Street Fighter when you beat up a car to see who does the most damage, and then whoever does the most damage wins. People liked it, but they didn't think it was as fun as what they thought it was going to be. A lot of people thought it was going to be more like the Warcraft TCG, which was like you'd get together and you'd actually go up against groups of mobs, and there were bosses, and if you won, there was like treasure. And I did a video on this, my PvE speculation, and the gist of it was it would be cool in my mind. Like, let's say you go to a local game store with a group of 4 of your friends, or even if you don't bring friends, you go there and you got a group of 4 to play with, and you all go up against a boss. So kind of like a Dungeons & Dragons, like Dungeon Master. That person has their own deck of cards that is the enemy you're fighting against. And whoever beats the boss, if your team beats the boss, then you're all rewarded by the LGS with like a pack that would be like a treasure pack or something. You each get a treasure pack, and you'd be able to open it up. And that treasure pack would have cards that were meant for PvE, but also had a chance to give you a cold foil that was from a previous set. So they would reprint cold foils, but they would be marked as a promotional cold foil that came from these treasure packs. Like, so it would be like a Diablo style loot thing where you fight the boss drops a big bag of toys and money, and you guys split it all up, but between yourself with the packs. I think that would be a cool idea. But that's an early on thing that they were talking about, and they haven't talked about it a lot since. So I'm not sure if that's something that'll be coming in Kingdoms or when that'll be coming, but I'm pretty sure it will be coming because they've already done tests for it. So
I guess they will need some time because it's still new, I guess. So
yeah,
they're gonna be needing some time.
Yep. If they do the Street Fighter type thing, I mean, I'd be willing to play anything, but that doesn't seem to me as fun as like getting together with a group of friends and trying to fight another person, the person at the LGS who they designate as the dungeon master, or maybe you have a group of 5 people, and out of those 5 people, like, oh, okay, I'll be the dungeon master today, you guys try to fight me. So I think there's a lot of options for it, but yeah, it's a cool thing to talk about. A few other people did some videos talking about PvE stuff, and it got me excited for the future of what it could be.
I guess the idea that you're mentioning here, where you find a group of friends or a group of people at the LGS, also fits the principle of LSS, where they really recommend people going to the LGS and then playing. Yes. I guess the idea itself, it actually fits very well. So I'm excited if they really go ahead with these types of ideas.
I know, I think so too. I think there's a ton of opportunity for it, and I'm really excited to see what they do in the future. And I'm really glad too that there's so many people in this community like you who have, you're not only into all the different TCGs, but with Flesh and Blood, you feel that it's different than anything you've played, which is what I've heard from most people, which is why I started the channel and got into it too. So, yeah, so I really appreciate that, and keep the Flesh and Blood stuff coming, but also, keep doing the other stuff you're doing too, because it's good to hear that feedback, like you said about Magic, where it was kind of confusing starting. And, I've never been a big Pokemon person, but it's still interesting to see what's out there in the current market and the way things are being handled by all these different companies. So.
True. One of the things that I'm excited about Flesh and Blood is the Pokemon, they like to do all these different promotional cards and things like that. So I guess if Flesh and Blood can do some kind of promotional Bravo, something with different outfits on,
that would be cool.
With some different out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it fits the lore, but it's gonna be fun to get those cards just to have it in the collection.
I agree, and I think doing the cold foil promos and rainbow foil promos and all the stuff they've done is really cool, but I don't like the art for that alternate art head jab, but I love the idea of it. I love this this different comic booky idea, without making it a secret layer product like Wizards does. You know what I mean? It's a promo item that's just thrown in, or you have a chance of getting one in a box randomly, like when Expeditions and all that were first announced. That was fun, not knowing what you were going to get, and buying something where you already know what it is in one big lump. Hey, this is the new artwork. That kind of just ruins it, in my opinion. It's more of a when I pulled that Fable, I pulled an Eye of Ophidia, and it was more of a shock that I pulled it. I was so excited. If they would have said, well, you can buy one in this special art set for $500, I would have been like, screw you, I'm not paying. Why would I do that? I want to have the chance of opening it. That's insane. That's crazy in my mind. So.
Yeah, true. Yeah, the one you mentioned, the head jab, is a very interesting idea, but they only did that once, right? I mean, that's the only art they did.
Yeah.
They did the cartoony art. So I do hope they explore more in that kind of terms,
Well, they have that
artwork a bit.
Yeah, they have that one promo that was in New Zealand, that Go Bananas. That was the only other kind of goofy artwork they've done. But yeah, it would be cool to see some different artwork and bring some different artists on. And what I would really love is, if they're not in contract, I would love to see some Magic the Gathering art. I mean, there's a lot of Magic the Gathering artists that don't just do art strictly for Magic, and it would be cool to see some of those artists like Seb McKinnon and some of the other people who do incredible art. It would be cool to see their take on Flesh and Blood cards and still kind of keep within that tone of Flesh and Blood. So, but yeah, the art is what attracted me to the cards right away. Obviously, I mean, most people I think felt that way. So,
yeah, the head jab itself, damn.
Oh yeah, it's so cool. So, well, listen, it's been great talking to you, Salam. I really appreciate it. I'm going to have a link in the description to that Geeky guy on YouTube, which is Salam. Please go check out his videos. And when I say this to people, I don't mean just go click and, oh yeah, these are cool videos. Seriously, just put some on in the background and listen. That's what I do a lot of times, for content creators I haven't heard of. If I'm in the shower, I'll just play something on the phone and leave it running and listen to what the person has to say. So, it does matter for sure, because it keeps us all going if you're actually watching and listening. So thank you for being here. Is there anything you want to talk about before you leave? Anything you want to plug or mention?
No, I'm not going to mention anything. I just want to thank Jordan so much for inviting me. I've been watching his content for about 1 month plus now. So I was subscribed to Jordan when he has about 10 or 20
Oh, wow.
subscribers.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I've been watching his video for quite some time. I especially enjoy his video where he shares about his insight and, you know, when he talks about the future of Flesh and Blood. And then, of course, some of his pack opening videos is when he gives his thoughts out and then when he talks out loud. So I really enjoy all of that. And I, once again, would like to thank Jordan for inviting me to this channel. And also for promoting me, of course.
Yeah, of course, right? No, I thank you very much. That means a lot to me. And yeah, I think I just hit like 255 this morning. So I was pretty happy. You know, it's not something I like really try to focus on much, but it's hard not to when you're doing these videos. And I want to see, you know, how high I can get, mainly because it's such a challenge, you know, to make these videos and get people to watch them and see what you're about. So I want people who are subscribing to me that actually want to watch. I don't want numbers. You know, I want people to actually watch. And I think most of the people in the community are like this, which is great. So, but
yeah, that's why I just want to say, I mean, you make great content and I really like what you've done. And also, I always click on your Patreon link just to make sure that it works.
Thank you. Yeah. You've helped me a few times with that. Yeah, you really have helped me a few times with that. You've been like, hey, this link didn't work or that link didn't work. So yeah, and I'm still like, some of these links, they'll like give you this option to like shorten them. And I've learned now that after a while, for some reason, like that expires. So now I don't care. I just put the full link in there. I'm like, I'm not taking the chance. I don't want people to not click on stuff and be able to. So I'll have a full link for you, because when people click, I want it to go right to your website. I don't want to play around with that. So anyways, thank you, Dat Geeky Guy, for being here. And I hope we can do this again soon. And good luck with the rest of your Flesh and Blood career here. So
you too, man. Thank you very much.
Take care, man.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Okay, sweet.